Hey there, Wargamers, Justin our Paints here, and today we're going to check out some resin models from Russia. I'd like to welcome you guys back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in, and we're going to get right into it today. These models came from Fortreest Miniatures and Games, a sponsor of the channel, and apparently from what I gather, this is a Marauder and this is a Highlander, and these are cast minis from Russia. I guess this was something to do with a Kickstarter over there, from what I gather. These were part of their Kickstarter so that they could get a translated copy of A Game of Armored Combat. That's what I've been told. And Bobby had them. The Marauder sold out. I picked up one. And then he had a Highlander that I don't think ever went live. And I picked that up because I thought that would be cool. I feel like he's got a couple other mechs as well that haven't gone up. But if he does end up offering those, I'll probably pick them up. We'll talk about them on the channel here, show you the review, and then maybe even build them, paint them, and work them into one of my faction. So if you want to help support what I do, check out Fortreest Miniatures and Games for anything and everything Battletech. There's no painting today, or no painted minis, but if you want to pick up some paints to mirror kind of what you've seen me do on Instagram or YouTube, check out Monument Hobbies. Their Pro Acryl paint line is top notch. It's my workhorse. 99% of the paint I use is from that. And if you want to help support me otherwise, check out deathrodesigns.com. That's where my day job is. Got a link and a coupon down below. That being said, let's get into it today, and let's start with the Highlander. I think it's going to be not quite as cool as the Marauder. Now, I paid, I think, 18 bucks a piece for these, which is a bit of a premium, but not quite as expensive as the Black Knight that Blaine put out. I think the Black Knight was 25, and I still felt like this was in a palatable range for pricing, so I didn't mind too much. So there's the parts laid out for the Highlander. I do like that the head is a separate part that allows you to get a little bit of posing, and this is the hip here. So it'll go right in there. Now, I can tell you I'm going to ditch this. It's not perfect, and it's a little wonky, so we're just going to get a new base for them. That's fine. I appreciate that came with it, but I feel like there is better stuff that they could have done. This is a waste of resin, in my opinion. Just get some plastic bases, mass-produced, or acrylic cut ones, or if you're going to do resin, make it a cool print, especially because this is like from Kickstarter, some kind of like probably goal or add-on or some shit. If you're going to do a resin base, don't waste the material on this bullshit. Have a cool scenic base. Make this a very premium thing. And I think the model is cool. We're going to get into the crisp details and stuff, but the base is kind of just, that's stupid, and that's a waste of time and money, in my opinion. So let's zoom in here, and we're going to check out the parts so you guys can see. So let's start with the head. I do like that it's got the antennas on here. This one's got a little flash. They may have actually broke. I'm not sure. These are pretty fragile. The benefit is if they break, you can always just glue some type of replacement on, and that's fine. So that's an issue with resin in general and 3D prints. Like little antennas like this are real easy to break. But I think that is pretty cool. Being able to plop that in here and have some ability to kind of pose that in some direction. That's pretty neat. And we've got the standard Highlander, the new plastic one over here. You can see the difference in the head size. And I added little antennas to this. Oh, I just totally messed that one up, didn't I? Boop, boop. You gotta be careful when you're moving around because those will warp. Anyways, front facing's pretty similar. Side design is pretty similar there. But I feel like the overall size of the head, the new plastic one's a skosh bigger, a little bigger. And the rear of this resin one's design's a little different too. So let's check out the torso here. Now there are some lines. Let's get in even tighter here. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'll try and rotate a little bit. Yeah, almost had it. I don't know if you guys can quite tell, but there's some like striations here, and these are telltale signs from the mass. Yeah, my little blade's kind of catching some of them. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's some little striations across the chest. Those are telltale signs of, you can see it here too. Yeah, you can really, like, you guys can't hear it, but like I can feel it. It goes click, 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 vibrating in my hand here. These are telltale signs of 3D printing. So the master for this was probably a 3D printed file, and then they probably printed it in parts, and then they cast it in resin and mass produced it. Once you make a mold, if it's a solidly made mold, you can pump out a whole bunch of parts pretty quickly, whereas 3D printers, you have to do the layers, and they can take some time. We've cast quite a bit of stuff out at Death Row Designs, and if you've got the proper equipment, so you got a vacuum chamber, a pressure chamber, quality molds, and then quick set resin. You don't have to have quick set resin, but if you do have quick set resin, you can pump out a batch of minis in like a half an hour, probably less than that. I think our resin sets in starts to harden, and I think 10 minutes, 6 or 10 minutes. We got some really fast stuff, and then at like the 30-minute mark, you're probably good to pull out of the mold. You know, give or take some time there, but you can get stuff that sets slower. But if you're real quick and you know what you're doing, you can make really fast stuff. Whereas this on a resin printer would take quite a bit. Our 3D printer would take longer. So, but detail wise on the chest, we got similar details that we have here. This one looks like he has inset lasers or something that I had here. This one doesn't. He's got vents in that place. And then we have the rockets here, similar shape, but the right side of the torso is a little different. Also, his little shoulders have little different inlets here that this one does not. So yeah, that's a little different. The rear, this one looks like he's got 3 jump jets. This one looks like he's got vents. Maybe those are jump jets. Maybe that's an intake here. And maybe that's jump jets, and then little vents, so that's possible. So the rear of it's a little different too. We look at the arms, and you can put those in here and kind of pose them, whack, whack, whack. I would have liked with some posability to have been able to put, like if you're going to go posable, might as well go all in. Having like the Black Knight having alternate hands is cool, but being able to pose at the elbow would be huge. And granted, you could cut the model up if you wanted to, but it would have been nice if that was in parts, you know. And then we got this arm here, especially because like he's kind of got this like this pose going on here, and you could do like a run pose if you wanted to. But having some slight variation in the arms would have been cool because they're both pretty similar. Actually, basically identical. Obviously, one's got a laser or PPC, and one's got a fist, but like actual pose is basically the damn same, and that's a little boring. You know, so if you want to get a little variance, you might have like this fist cocked back, and then maybe this little laser up, or maybe the laser's down and the fist is, you know, up or something. So I'll probably end up with both kind of almost down in the neutral position, just because, or like maybe down, like he's kind of surveying the battlefield or something. That's a little bit of a letdown for a resin premium model, I think. This one is similar. The arm orientation is very similar. He's just beefier, and also it wasn't a premium model. The plastics were pretty affordable. For the cost of this one guy, I got almost a box of mechs. And again, I don't mind the price, but it's more like, you know, wish listing stuff. The shoulder is very similar. We got a hand here, but obviously it's, you know, this Highlander resin one's going to be a little smaller. And then we've got the gun arm over here as well, which is significantly smaller. Shoulder's basically the same type of style, but the arm is just super tiny compared to him. I do like the front of the barrel, though. It's pretty cool. And then we've got the hips and the legs. Got a little flash to clean off there, no big deal. Let's see. So this will be the front. The front of the hips is very similar, so you can tell where the orientation is. Here's the legs. So he's kind of got these little tiny rinky-dink legs going on here. They got similar features on the knee that they kind of put in the kneecap here. Same types of shapes, but very different. Yeah, I probably kind of favor the plastic one over this resin one, if I'm honest. Having a nice variant is cool, but like it's a little small. So we're going to try and hold this together as best I can. Give you guys an average height on this thing compared to the plastic one. So it's going to be a little bit more lean. Maybe I could get away with calling that maybe a Highlander 2C maybe, because it looks very different from the plastic one. Maybe I could do that. And then like, I'll see if I can prop that over here. It's probably going to all collapse on me. No. Now it just looks like real steel, like he's about to go boxing. So height's going to be very similar to some degree. Detail features are very similar, but all in all, I feel like he's just a slightly more anemic version of him. Even his torso is a little smaller, so I'm not sure if you guys will be able to get that on the general market, but if you find one, that is pretty neat. Like I said, I'll probably proxy that as like a Highlander 2C. But what do you guys think? How do you think it compares to the plastic one? Do you like this one better? Do you like the plastic one better? Do you think they're both crap? Do you think this could be a Rifleman 2C? What are your thoughts? Sound off below. The other model we got here is the Marauder. Now I'm really excited about this one because I like Marauders. They look really cool. So let's get the parts laid out. Now, yeah, you could tell this was the Masters had to have been 3D printed. Because like we even got two different bases, which is odd. So we got, this is the Highlander one, and it's flat. And this is the Marauder one, and that is embossed. This is debossed, and this is embossed. And this one has a bevel, and it has a triangle for the front. And this one does not. And the other hex can fit inside the Highlander one. So yeah, these were 3D printed for sure, and then made probably resin casts of them. Because those were the gates where there was 3 of them, it looks like, and they just snipped that off and probably did a quick, maybe not even scrape, just probably had really close cut shears and or hobby snips and just cut it off. Again, I'll probably replace that. I like that feature's on there, but like whatever, and get some better ones. So let's check out the Marauders bits. Let's lay them out here. There's the torso. I think that's the right arm, or his left arm rather. There's his right arm. We've got his hip assembly. We've got, yeah, this one's, I'm liking this one a bit more already because we got a lot more parts. There's the 2 feet. There's his, looks like his left gun, right gun. Yeah. All right. And then we got his cannon that goes up top. I like that. That's nice and crisp. Well, let's actually slide that down so you guys can have that on screen. And then we've got his legs. So left leg, right leg. And then the hips, or the thighs, which they look basically the same on both sides, or close to it. So it doesn't much matter which side they're on. Currently, I probably picked the one that has the better looking forward facing. So we're getting a lot more modularity with this one. So let's zoom in a little here. So like with the arms, we've got these ball sockets and it's got a little peg. So you would, put that in there and you could rotate on that and get some posability, right? But if you wanted to, you could snip that peg and then put the ball right on there and glue it, so you could pose the gun a little bit more. I'll probably use that just for stability's sake, but you can eliminate the one area where you can only turn on that axis and have a little bit more variety by snipping that peg. Let's see how this interfaces with the shoulder. So the peg is a little wider than the shoulder. That is slightly irritating, but we can bore that out. Actually, that's so thin right there, I'll probably just shave that down. Let's see if the other arm tolerances are as bad. Yeah, the other arm actually does go in. This one, oh, I could force it. Never mind. I'll probably maybe shave it for a little comfort. So let's compare to an actual Marauder here. Before we start playing with that stuff, here's the shoulder bit, which looks very, very similar. Very similar in size. Almost spot on. There's some areas where it's not as crisp because it's resin cast and the mold probably just was slipping. Torso-wise, a little smaller. So we'll line it up on the rear here. I'll hold it on this side. Line it up with the rear of the exhaust ports there so you can see this Marauder's a little shorter and snub-nosed a bit more. But I do like the front cockpit is a little wider, so more area to get to the canopy. These have a little bit more detail you can get into, and you got a little vent there that this one doesn't have. So it is a little shorter, and I feel a little bit wider on the panels, but I think that's fine. It's a nice variant to this. and I do like the plastic one. Let's check out the rear here. I feel that the rear exhaust is superior on the resin one. This one doesn't really have anything going on back here, and this one's got these really interesting exhaust ports that are really cool. You could almost butcher up a plastic one and put its arms and stuff on here and just change out your cockpit or your torso. That's pretty cool. I do like the rear of that. Let's compare the Top Gun, and that is... So that's going to be very similar in size, almost identical, but it doesn't have the rear part on there. It kind of stops right there-ish. So it doesn't have that jut out. I suppose you could probably make something if you wanted that. Details and so forth are very similar. Guns, also very, very similar. Got a slightly different like casing around that ball, and it's got more of a ball joint that they're kind of doing there. That one's interfaces in, and this one's actually got the full-on ball in this kind of wrapping. So not too bad. On the front side of the guns, I do like the detail on the resin one. Those are going to take a wash really nicely. So yeah, I like both arms. These both guns are pretty cool. Legs. It's unfortunate that some of the casting is not 100% perfect because the detail panel lines on this are actually pretty neat. But the legs are very similar in size. Details are very similar but different. I dig it. This is going to be like a very cool alternate variant to the Marauder. And here we've got the thigh assembly, so very similar there as well, almost identical. So the size of this Marauder, this resin one, is going to be very, very similar. Hip assembly. It's hard to tell which one is forward. I'm going to go with the little vents here being the rear. That's a little bit more boxy than his. The new plastic Marauder's got more of a rounded rear end. So yeah, and then the feet. Yeah, those are very, very similar. The toes are slightly different shapes. You guys can see that. But the ankle socket is very, very similar. So, and then if we flip it there, you can see that it's almost identical size. So I think the this one is a lot closer to in the proportions than the Highlander was. I like that, and I've got quite a few Marauders, so that's pretty neat. Let's do some dry fitting here. See what we can't get to stick. Guns might fall out on us. They're a little loose, which is fine. Okay, let's see how that. Let's do the guns after. Let's see how that hip assembly goes here. Not quite as tight. Actually, let's do the legs. Pop the assembly in there. All right, pop, pop. And so that'll be this side. I would recommend, if you were doing this, to be very careful because that is a very fragile point. You don't want to push too hard and break something, so I'm not going to mash too hard on that. It looks like there's a little bit of flash or something in there, so we're just going to ram that leg on, get a tension fit, and be gentle. Yeah, it's a little... Oh, is it the wrong side? Are these very specific? Huh. Yeah, that's oddly specific. They've got a very straight leg pose on it. You guys can see there's this little ridge here, and then that mirrors with this right here and here. If you guys can see it, there's like a little upraised portion right there, and it forces this to interface with that in a weird way. Let's see. Yeah, what are you doing? Okay, so that... Okay. Alright, maybe it was just me. Maybe it was just me. Alright, whoop. Alright, that's... What do you got going on here? Oh, alright, so maybe it was me. Maybe it was me. Alright, so we're going to get the foot in here. Now, it's got a peg as well, but it's also got a ball, so like if you didn't like where that sits, you could snip the peg, which I'm probably going to have to snip that anyway because it's not sitting all the way in there. But you can snip the peg and then... position the foot a little bit more, like if you want it to be more like that. Instead of like that, you could have it like that or like that, you know, if he's like lunging forward. So like you get some nice posing on this model, whereas you don't get that on the Highlander. So let's see if we can't get that leg to stay. Let's try the other side. The tension fit on that one is just not super good, which is fine. They don't have to be super tight. It's just more like, can I get it to hold so I can like use my fingers to hold the model here. All right, so let's see if we can't get the torso on. Get a little dry fit and endeavor here. So all right, so I got a good pinch hold here, and you just have to imagine that there'd be another leg there. So we'll have a little gun here. All right, so there we go. I'm gonna try and hold that in there. Using my thumb to hold that, and then this gun would sit up top. So it looks like we're gonna lose that. Oh, okay, cool. All right, so that gun right there is gonna be a little difficult for me to hold in with my hand, but you get a pretty good idea of what that is gonna look like compared to a normal Marauder. So it's definitely not quite as long as that, but very cool in the end. And then you got the little leg down there. So we'll drop that gun so I can actually like articulate that. Or everything's just going to fall apart on me when I move. Yeah, so yeah. Yeah, I think this one's going to come together quite nicely. I'm not sure what faction I'm going to build it for, but I like that one. I think this one was worth the 18 bucks I paid for it from Fortreest. The Highlander, I'm glad I got it. I think regardless of what the opinions are, I will probably just proxy that as a Highlander 2C because I think it's going to be cool. And it would be less prone to chipping, more fragile for breaking compared to the metal one. But it'll be a little bit less likely to chip compared to the metal, so probably run that one as a Highlander 2C, and this one will be some form of a Marauder, maybe some type of Marauder to justify the visual difference on it. I'll roll it into something, I'm not sure, but I think that is really cool. Give that one maybe A-, because some of the casting could have been a little bit better, but not bad, and we're going to give this one a solid like B, just because you didn't get the same amount of pose abilities you did on that. Like, if we were able to use these arms here at the joints and the legs and stuff with the same modularity as the Marauder, I would be much happier with this one. I do like the head on it, and the torso is pretty crisp, but otherwise, not quite as dynamic. And maybe that's why it didn't go up on Fortreest's site. I'm not sure. Bobby might not have been as happy with the Highlander as he was the Marauder, and these sold out for sure. But I do think he'd sell that too, just because of the unique nature of it. And I think he's got, don't quote me, but I think he's got an Atlas as well. If he puts the Atlas up, I'll probably buy it too, just because I like the Atlas. So that being said, what are you guys' thoughts? What do you think? Are there variants these guys could count as for? Are these models that you would have liked to have gotten? Are they ones you did get? Are there factions you think would be cool for me to paint these up as, whether it's something I already have or something you'd like to see me play in a future battle report? Let me know. Sound off in the comments below and share your thoughts. As always, thank you guys for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, smash the subscribe button as well. Hopefully you'll return to hang out, and thank you for supporting what I do here and give me a platform to connect with you about hobbies and Battletech stuff that I enjoy. This is as much about me connecting with you as it is a way for me to have a little bit of a hobby catharsis, a little bit of a hobby therapy, and my way to broadcast a message into the darkness, the void that is the internet, in hopes that I might connect with just one new person, that maybe they'll stumble across my videos and take the plunge and get into Battletech. That being said, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. Again, I really do appreciate it. As always, keep rolling those dice, keep painting those models, and I'll catch you next time.